So I have been a fan of the House of Night series. I mean, who wouldn't? It's a vampire series that has cool mythology in it, as well as different things. Even the whole deal about vampires and their society are so much different than Twilight. But I collected the books, have a shirt, oracle cards, and even have mini posters on my wall. I was happy, but I was not prepared of the events that would happen to me. I came home from school and went to my room, so I could relax for a little bit before I go to do chores. My parents were out of the apartment, so it was only my cat and me. I had the oracle cards put away so that my parents wouldn't freak out because of my curiosity. Once I lay down with my Nix at the House of Night book and MP3, I turned my MP3 on max volume before reading. Besides reading, several TV shows, video games, music, and creepypasta, the mythology and the contents of the book were an addiction. Even though I had my MP3 all the way up, I began to hear a soft chanting voice. I sat up before looking at my MP3. It was playing Surrender by Evanescence. The only thing that I had of people chanting was a song on the This Is War album by 30 Seconds to Mars. It must have been my imagination, so I shrugged before lying down and reading. Then I heard it again, loud and clear this time. It seemed native-like, but at the same time, it kind of sounded dark. I only have a bit of Cherokee blood on my dad's side, but it doesn't only take a full Cherokee to tell how it sounded. Because of knowledge of ghost shows and creepypasta, I knew it sounded corrupted, and that's not a good sign. I suddenly saw a sapphire blue light coming from the drawer I had the oracle cards in. I turned off my MP3 and put my book away before getting up from my bed. The chanting got louder and louder, almost to where it could be deafening as I neared the dresser. It stopped as I opened the dresser, but the light now began to be crimson red, almost like blood. I hesitated before pulling the cards out, bracing for anything. Only a few were glowing the crimson red color, as the others stayed normal. I went through every single one of them. There were 5 cards that were glowing ominous red. Playful, belonging, chaos, trapped, and high priestess of water. I hadn't memorized the meaning of the cards yet, unfortunately. However, when I moved to pick up the guidebook to see what they meant, the others circled around me, almost in a furious manner. All of my House of Night books fell from the bookshelves, and the pages were turning on their own, as if a continuous gust of wind had blown. It was only then the darkness engulfed me because of the cards, surrounded by questions of what if. What if Zoe was unable to save Stevie Ray and Stark? What if Kelowna was able to make Zoe unable to have Nix's blessings and have her join on the same side as him? What if Zoe was unable to piece her soul together back in time? What if Kelowna had stuck with darkness and ruled the world with Nefret? What if Nefret herself was stronger than Nix and had overtaken her in Erebus with Kelowna at her side? I closed my eyes, hoping that the questions would stop. Unfortunately, I opened them as I coughed from a disgusting odor to see flames and dead corpses on the ground. It was like their bodies were completely drained of blood. To my horror, I have seen the bodies of Zoe's friends, pale and withered like a grape. Even the bodies of Nix and Erebus were there. And then there was Zoe. Her soulless body was lying on a stone table with Stark's body in a kneeling position against it. I immediately heard hissing, and terrible cawing behind me, as well as a bull's heavy breathing. I turned around to see Kelowna, Nefrit, in darkness, coming toward me, the evil red fledglings and ravenwalkers following with a feral gaze. "We had been expecting you," said Kelowna. Knowing the smart aleck that I am, I could not help but to say, "Oh really? This is quite the welcoming committee." Although the invitation should have been a bit friendlier. The evil red fledglings had laughed, but not like a regular amused way. The laughter was more like an amused, dark way. Nefrit walked up to me to where she was only a few footsteps away. She took a ceremonial dagger that was in her hand before cutting her arm, somehow causing the scent to be alluring. It was like she was using fish bait that had been made specially for me. "Come now, child," she said. "I am the new goddess, your goddess. Partake of my blood and become my child." There was no hesitation of my actions. I latched to her arm tight as I began to drink her blood. As I looked to the left, where a building still had glass, I looked to my reflection to see that my eyes were red. I was no longer myself. I woke up with a jolt, surprised that I was in my bed. The cards were up, and the books were in my bookshelf. My MP3 was still going on while the Nix at the House of Night book was on my chest. Was that really a dream? It was so bizarre. Keep in mind that dreams can become reality, child.